Hello, everyone. How are you? Why does baldness always occur on the front of the head and not on the sides? When anyone has baldness, we notice in a large percentage that this baldness occurs from above only, but on the sides and back of the head there is very normal hair. So I wonder why this condition is more common in cases of baldness than in others, and why do we see some people having it? Some people are completely bald, while other people are not. More importantly, why is baldness related to aging? Why do most people, when they get older, notice signs of baldness and hair loss? Baldness and genetics. Let us first understand why baldness happens to us in the first place, and why it is present in men but not in women. In fact, this issue depends on several factors. The first and most important factor among them is genetics. A person has 46 chromosomes, and in order to determine whether he is male or female, the issue is it depends mainly on the X and Y chromosomes. If it is a male, this will make him have an XX. The evidence in this matter is that the gene that affects hair loss is always present on the X chromosome only. For this reason, if there is a girl who inherits this gene from her father and then she gets married, then this gene will still be carried on one of her. This is because in order for the child to remain a male, he needs to obtain the formula XY, as we said, and this forces him to take from the mother an X chromosome, in which the gene affected by baldness is likely to remain, and to take from the father a chromosome, Y, and there is no other division in front of him except like that. This is because he must take half of his chromosomes from the father and the other half from the mother. If this is your first visit to our channel, we hope and are pleased that you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and activate the bell so that we can continue together. If you have a suggestion for a video topic, write it to us in the comments and we will discuss it in a later video. Why doesn't the male child take the healthy X chromosome from his father, and that's it? The simple answer is that if the child takes the X chromosome from his father, then when he comes to take half of his chromosomes from his mother, he will not find in the mother anything other than X chromosomes only. The hair loss gene is considered a recessive gene. Because males have only one for this reason, if the grandfather on the mother's side is bald, then 50% of the time is that the son will also be bald. But in the case of daughters, the issue is completely different. Girls have two X chromosomes, so if one of them is affected, the other will remain healthy. Because of this, the recessive gene in this case remains weak and cannot express itself easily. The only case in which this gene can appear and prevail in girls is that there must be two copies of it present at the same time, meaning each X chromosome is the one the girl has. He is affected and carries the gene for hair loss. This is of course a condition that remains very rare and its probability is low, and that is why baldness remains more common in males than in females. Let us also clarify a point here if it comes to anyone's mind, namely, why do we say that if the maternal grandfather has baldness, there is a high probability that this will be inherited to the grandchildren? I mean, for example, why do we not say that the paternal grandfather is bald? The answer is that the maternal grandfather is because he leaves the mother with the one in parentheses a girl. This means that he will give her his. As for the paternal grandfather, in order to succeed the father who is in parentheses male, this means that he will have his Y chromosome only, and as we said a while ago, the hair loss gene is only present on the X chromosome. Therefore, even if the paternal grandfather is bald, he will not pass this on to his male children. Why above specifically and not on the sides? Now that we know how baldness occurs, and specifically males, let us move on to the important part that follows that, which is that why does baldness always occur from the top and the front and not from the sides? This pattern of baldness is called male pattern baldness. The head always takes the shape of the letter M, or the letter U inverted. The reason this issue occurs is mainly due to hormones, specifically the androgen group of hormones. Androgen is the general name for a group of hormones that regulate male characteristics in our body, such as, for example, increased muscle and bone mass, hair growth, deepening of the voice, and others, and these hormones are such as testosterone, androstenedione, and dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. The whole problem lies in this last hormone, DHT. The hormone dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, although it has a very important role in highlighting sexual characteristics in males, its presence in the body in large quantities negatively affects the hair follicles on the head. When this hormone is present in intense amounts, it sticks to the base of the hair from underneath and suffocates the area. The follicle is the follicle from which the hair originally grows, and this in turn makes the hair gradually shrink and shorten over time. The follicles begin to produce weak hair, and they grow for shorter periods of time than normal, until we reach a certain stage and the follicle stops producing hair at all, leaving the area free. What is around it is smooth and does not have any hair, and that is why most people who are bald, it is because the hormone dihydrotestosterone is present in their body in larger quantities than normal, or because the follicles of their hair are sensitive to this hormone. Specifically during puberty, the skull and muscles of the forehead and neck begin to grow intensively because of this. In this stage, tension occurs in the anterior band of tissue that remains located exactly above the forehead, and the important factor in tension in this tissue and muscle becomes an attracting a large amount of the DHT hormone to the area, and thus this suffocates the hair follicles present in the place and prevents them from reaching the area, blood supply, and necessary nutrients. Okay, now there are other patterns or forms of baldness that we encounter in our lives, and the issue does not depend only on the shape of the letter M or the letter. For example, there are people who have baldness in the form of a circle at the back of the head, or people who are completely bald, or people who have baldness in various places in the brain, and others. As for people whose baldness is in the form of a circle at the end of the head, this issue will be it is due to exactly the same reasons as M and U pattern baldness, but the only difference is that the end area of the head in this case grows more than the forehead, and thus attracts the DHT hormone more, and accordingly their hair loss begins to move from back to front. As for complete baldness, at first it remains a very normal partial baldness like any previous type, but it becomes more active and gradually extends until it takes over the entire scalp. Finally, the condition in which hair loss occurs from random or separate places on the body, such as the scalp, beard, or even eyelashes and eyebrows, is called spotless baldness or alopecia areata. This condition remains a type of autoimmune disease because the immune system itself is the one that attacks the hair and makes it fall out, leaving smooth, round spots in its place. But usually in cases like this, the hair grows again when the immune system stabilizes and returns to its normal state. It is worth noting that hair loss can also occur apart from genetics or hormonal disorders, and is due to external factors or influences, such as age, environmental factors, diet, and even stress, tension, poor sleeping habits, and smoking. They can be the reason for a person to lose his hair, as well as some diseases such as anemia or thyroid problems. The chin growth paradox. Finally, let us mention a very strange paradox, which is that almost most people who have a bald head have a very thick beard. So I wonder, what is the reason for this strange phenomenon? The reason is simply due to the same hormone, which is DHT. Dihydrotestosterone affects certain areas of the body, but it promotes hair growth in other areas. Because of this, it causes hair loss on the head, but at the same time it promotes the growth of beard hair or facial hair in general, and this is what makes us see that people who are bald have very thick beards. In the end, male pattern baldness is a very common thing, to the point that studies say that 50% of people over the age of 40 show a noticeable level of baldness, and all people get older the more this percentage increases. So, don't worry. Thank you very much.